Well, hello everybody. I'm hoping that you can hear and see me. My name is Martin Cordner, and if you're on cordnermusic.com, the Facebook page, you'll be seeing this video. If it's showing up in your stream, I'm going to give you a wave because I want you to click it and start watching. But I am here with Beth Malovance from the United States. And we're going to have a chat this evening about, well, faith and music and all kinds of things. And also a cornet solo, right, Beth? Let's not forget about that. So how are you doing, Beth?
Yeah,
it's
definitely
great
not.
to see you. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? All the
Pretty
way over
well.
there in the UK.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, you know, it's been a really rubbish day here, windy, a little bit wet. So I'm looking out of my window, usually at this time of the night, because my study window faces west. The sun blazes in, and I thought I'm gonna have to close the blinds for this, but I can just leave them open tonight because it's just grey sky. It's just British weather for you. But it's great to have you here, Beth, and for us to be talking together. Basically, everybody, we've got a little bit of a plan tonight, which is that I've got some questions to ask Beth. She's got a few things that she's going to ask me, so we're going to make it a bit like a chat in that way. And then we're going to be looking out for your comments and hellos and things like that on the video. And if we see you post a comment there, then we'll give you a shout out. Hope that sounds okay. And if you ask some questions, we'll try our best to answer them for you as well. So if I look a bit confused and dazed, that is my natural look anyway, but it's because I'm looking at Facebook on one side of the screen and looking at Zoom on the other side of the screen to make sure I'm talking to Beth. So, right, Beth, is it all right if I think I've got all of the practicalities out the way. Is it okay for me to ask you a few questions?
Yes, please do.
All right, okay. So what we want to know, first of all, is how's life in lockdown for you over in the States?
Pretty good. Things are starting to open back up around here. I live in Illinois, which is one of the stricter states still over here in Illinois. So, or I mean, in the United States, some places are pretty much wide open, but a lot of places are still, wearing face masks and things like that. So I work for the Salvation Army, so I'm in the building a couple of days a week now, but a lot of people are still working from home.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just been a bit crazy, hasn't it, for everybody?
Yeah, it really has been. It's been absolutely crazy. Just, getting used to a new normal. I'm going to use the term that they use on the news all the time over here, but just trying to figure out a new pace of life. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure things for you probably have been busier rather than slower, but for me, everything just got so much slower. I'm used to rehearsals and concerts constantly all week long, and now it's just like dead halt.
Yeah.
So
Lots of time to spend with your family, though, I guess. And
yes,
in the last year or so, you had a lovely little daughter. So how's she doing?
she's doing great. Not really enjoying going back to daycare a couple of times a week. She got
All
used to
right.
mommy and daddy nonstop. So she was really good with daycare when we first started. She just turned one,
Yes.
just last month. So she was loving all the time, and we certainly felt very blessed to be able to spend so much time at home with her. But now it's time to kind of get back into, you know, a little bit of a schedule. And let's just
Yeah.
say there's a lot of crying at daycare drop off these days.
Yeah, I can imagine she's just had the luxury of you being there. But I guess lockdown for everybody has had its drawbacks, but it's had its positives as well, isn't it? And being with family, I
Oh,
guess,
definitely.
if you consider being with family a positive, everybody has been one of those positives. What about the Chicago Staff Band? Beth, you're the principal cornet of the Chicago Staff Band. You're also principal cornet with the Chicago Brass Band, and you're also on the roster for Brass Band Battle Creek in their current season as well. Let's talk about the CSB. What's happened with the CSB? Are they in contact with each other? Are they all home practicing? You hope they are.
I certainly hope
What's
my
happening?
section is.
So, do the CSB have any plans for when lockdown finishes?
Yeah, so like everybody, we had a really busy last half of the season planned for this year. We had a trip to Nigeria that was canceled. We were going to participate in Old Orchard, which was postponed as well. Um, Plus, we had a big music congress that we had been planning. All those things, of course, got shut down. So just we've been trying to navigate, how we're going to move forward. We've had, one of those like a Zoom chat
Yeah.
where everybody kind of got together and chatted. But beyond that, as a full group, we haven't really done anything. There have been a number of small group projects that we've done. So we've had a few members of the staff band come in, and we've functioned in the role of resourcing our territory for their upcoming virtual events like camps. So we've recorded some backing tracks for things like that. So that's kind of what we've been doing. Moving forward, we're planning on the next season. Obviously, performances here still can't happen because you can't have large gatherings.
Yeah.
But more and more studies are coming out where it's looking like, brass instruments may be safe as long as, plenty of distances provided. So we're trying to figure out how we can move forward, looking, in the building to see if we can find a large enough space that we could spread everybody out and still meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're looking to maybe do some recording projects. But as of right now, no trips are planned. We're mostly just looking at how we can resource our territory and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
recording.
Yeah, good. And we're so limited in what we can do, I guess, at this stage. But when everything comes back, we're going to come back with, as we would say in Britain, with bells on, right? It's going to be
Yeah.
everyone's not just going to get the CSB; they're going to get the CSB on max, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you're known to everybody because of your association, I guess, with the CSB and the Chicago Brass Band and Battle Creek as well, as we were just saying. But how about you tell everybody who's watching a little bit more about Beth Cooper as you grew up, maybe how you got into brass playing, how you got into the Salvation Army, all that kind of stuff. So how did it all happen for you?
Sure, I'll try to summarize my life as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've just got
so
about
I actually
2 minutes, if that's okay.
2 minutes. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not sure I can manage it, but I'll be as
Good.
succinct as I can. Yeah, I actually started in grade school here. We call it grade school, playing the flute. And so I was not attending the army. I was just attending another Christian church close to home. And one day I just decided, you know what, I think I want to play trumpet because a lot of my family does. So I talked to my Aunt Linda, and she agreed to give me lessons. And because I started taking lessons in high school, she got me back into the Army. And so I started attending the Salvation Army that way.
Right.
That was pretty much how I got back and started playing trumpet anyways, was just through her.
Okay, yeah, and of course Auntie Linda is in the Chicago Staff Band as well, right?
Yeah, she plays flugelhorn that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not sure if I actually answered your question, but that was the beginning. Yeah, I started in high school and just kind of moved from there. It took on pretty quickly and I enjoyed it. So then I went to college and kind of the rest is history.
And you're at Norwich, do you call it Norwich Citadel Corps, Beth? Yeah, Norwich Citadel. In the suburbs of Chicago, I guess it is, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, formerly Montclair Citadel, and then new building, so new, new corps name, which is now Norwich Citadel. Yeah, it's in the suburbs. It's kind of close to O'Hare Airport. If anybody's familiar with the Chicago area, it's pretty close to there.
Hey, Beth, we've got some people joining us tonight, so I just want to give a shout out to a few others. There's Dave Hipperson from Toronto in Canada, Simon Fisher, our bandmaster at Cambridge. My wife's auntie is watching. Hello, Avril. Great to have you with us. Stephen Yolden, who's out on the west coast of America, used to be in the staff band with me about 130 years ago. He's watching. Hi, Steve. Stephen Moyer, you're watching as well. Great to have you here. Thanks, Dave, for your comment. Blessings to you as well, brother. Tia Oakes. Tia was at Star Lake with me a couple of 3 years ago, so good to see you, Tia. Lindsay Evans, good to have you. We've got Jennifer Power. Oh, yes, Jennifer from Northern Ireland. Angela Parkin, from who I knew 100 years ago at Leeds Central Corps. Kevin Garay, welcome, Kevin. Jonathan Searle, hello, Jonathan. David Craig, Nick Simmons-Smith, who might be the Territorial Music Secretary, USA South, I'm not sure, and Keith Piper, he's not sure either, by the way, but he is. Keith Piper from Northern Ireland and Melanie Smith, who we were in training with. Great to have all these guys watching. Welcome to you all. I'm just grilling Beth for one more question. And if you just joined, we're just having a chat about faith, about music, and about a cornet solo, which we're going to get to in just a few moments. Now, the cornet solo we're going to talk about, Beth, is called Faith Pursuit. Oh, we just lost my camera, I think. So just bear with me 1 second. Can you still hear me, Beth?
I can hear you. I see a big black screen with it. X.
Yeah, that's no good. I'm just going to fix my camera, everybody, and then we're going to get things rocking and rolling. It's just a real temperamental thing. So I'll keep talking and we'll just see if the camera comes back on, because you can hear me, I know. There we go. Great. Okay, everybody. I'm just pinging it back in its holder. There. Now I look even better than I did before. Okay. So the solo is called Faith Pursuit. And we're people of faith because we're salvationists, right? So what's your faith story, and how did you come to a belief in God through Jesus? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I grew up in a Christian home, as I mentioned. I have a lot of family who are in the Salvation Army, and I grew up going to a local place. It was called Chatham Bible Church in the suburbs of St. Louis, Missouri. And I pretty much, for as long as I've known, I've had a relationship with God. Obviously, when you're young, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. So it started out that way. But the first time I can really remember making a conscious decision to say, look, I want to follow Christ, and I want to, pursue faith. Was actually in middle school. I was attending Chatham Bible Church, as I mentioned, and it was a summer camp, and we were hearing a sermon, at the end of a long week of camp where everybody's emotions are running high, and I decided, you know what, this is for me. I want to have a relationship, something of deeper meaning, and I went forward, and that's where it all started.
Fantastic. That's been the case for so many of us, hasn't it? With something starts when you're young and it just develops over the years. And camps, like music camps and so on. For me, they've been the, I think about faith as like a washing line. They've been the poles that have propped up my washing line. Do you know what I mean? That just when I felt things were going a little bit down, I'd go to a camp or some Salvation Army event, and it would just reignite something in me. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Beth. That's fantastic. And because this is a chat, we ought to make it fair, and you ought to ask me one or two things, and then we'll get to the solo. So what is it that you want to know? And I'll try and answer as honestly as I can.
Yeah, I'm curious what your lockdown has been like. Have you developed any new habits, like baking bread or anything?
My wife, as she's listening to this, has just collapsed on the floor at the thought that I might even think about baking some bread. One skill that I've really had to develop in this lockdown period is video editing, because when our lockdown was announced here in the UK, I can't remember the date, something like the 13th or the 15th of March or something. I know, yeah, it was about the 17th. And then we had Mother's Day coming up on the 21st of March, and we weren't able to worship. The whole of the, Salvation Army in the UK wasn't allowed to worship. So we had to very quickly come up with something to keep all of our core together. And so we decided we'd do something online, which meant I had to very quickly download some video editing software. I'd done little bits before, like holiday videos. We've all done that, haven't we? Stitched a few photos together to show the grandparents or whatever. But I had to really I probably watched about 25 hours of YouTube videos in that first week to try and get my head around video editing. And anyway, that's been a whole new skill. So if things don't work out for me, as an interviewer on Facebook Live, I could always go to video editing. So that's something that I've got into out of necessity, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's been really great picking up new habits and skills. My husband actually put a Facebook question out there early on saying, what new habits have you come up with? And the list of things has been pretty amusing.
Yeah.
So
sure.
That's really cool that you've learned a new skill. Cool. So how have things been for you as an officer? I mean, like for me, as I already mentioned, my life got a little less hectic in some ways, but I imagine for you it's been the opposite. Have things been busier?
Yeah, you know, I can only describe that week of the 15th of March or whenever it was as being just pushed off the edge of a cliff, really, you know, and you all of a sudden had to learn how to fly or swim or whatever you're going to land in the water. So it just felt you were in the deep end. Basically, Leanne and myself, we usually work as a team, you know, and we share the platform ministry, we share the visitation in normal life. But when this came, we had to split ourselves into two directions. So Leanne really took charge of our community response, and we have a community manager called Jan at the hall who that's her full-time job, and Leanne really wanted to support Jan in that. So between the two of them, actually, they've been coordinating this really big response. And at Cambridge, when we've served more than something like 13,000 meals in the last 3-4 months. So Leanne went away to do that, which meant I kind of, we got our two boys at home, so I needed to stay home and kind of look after everything else at the core. So I've never sat in a room for so long in my life, but in the room that you see here, this has been my kind of second home, really. I've been here most of the week, either video editing or on the phone to people, doing emails. I've never used WhatsApp so much as I have since lockdown. I think I used it like once before, and now I'm a member of 26 different groups in our core, you know, because we're talking about the band ministry or the worship band ministry or singing company or all kinds of things. So it did go from being fairly busy as officers to being crazy busy. And I would say probably it's taken until about now for us to just draw breath and feel a little bit calmer about things, you know, and we've had amazing support from our congregation. So with the online ministry that we're doing, they all get involved. We've had nearly, I think it's 100 different people in the congregation all come on screen and do readings and prayers and stuff, which is fantastic. And the team we've had at the community response has been amazing as well. So that's been a mixture of staff, you know, employees and volunteers. So we feel a little bit better about things at the moment because the worst of it is behind. You know, we can see a brighter future now. So yeah, the short answer is very busy.
Have you had much time to do any music making then, like doing any composition, or not really? Has that had to take a back seat?
Yeah, it definitely has taken a back seat. I just finished a piece of music before lockdown and sent it. It was for the staff band over here in the UK. And they were really, really kind to look at it. And they did a version 1 and I got a recording, and then I sent version 2. I think version 2 got on the stands at the end of February. So as far as I know, the piece is still on the stands of the of the staff band room, and I'm hoping that when things get back to normal, the band will be able to pick that back up. They did have a CD project planned for the summer, and this piece was for that. So up until that point, so I'd been writing then, and then lockdown came. I just haven't been able to do anything. So I've done a couple of things, but basically it's been an arrangement here and there for our band, you know, so that they can play a tune on the online ministry program. So that's about it, really, Beth. May I just say a few more hellos, Beth, because some people have joined. Matthew Hunt is here. Hi, Matthew. Becky. Oh, we know Becky Dina. She's watching as well. Hi, Becky. Great to see you. I hope you and Eric are well. Peter Hazlitt from your part of the world as well has joined. Ian Parkhouse, good to have you, Ian. Howard Russell, Emily Croucher. Hi, guys. Polly Buckle. Mark Smith. Oh, you know Mark Smith, Beth. Nice guy.
I know that guy.
Yeah, heck of a guy. Kate Knickerbocker. Hi, Kate. And David Donaldson, my brother-in-law, and no doubt chiming in here to just make sure I'm behaving myself. Great, good to have you all with us. If you want to ask Beth a question, guys, or ask me a question, you can put it in the comments and we will get to those in a few moments time. So do feel free to ask a question. We'd love to hear from you. So I think you were asking me one or two things there, Beth. How are we doing on our little list here?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I can ask some more.
Yeah, go ahead. We've got a few more minutes. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, great. I'm just curious what your actual composition process is like. I know we're not talking about the solo yet, but like, how are things different for you on a piece that you want to write on your own versus a commission? How do you approach that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think you approach it in too dissimilar a way. If somebody comes and asks, usually the advantage with that is they have something in mind.
Sure.
Or so they might have a song, or they might have an occasion. Usually there's an occasion, so that gives you a picture in your mind, you know, of how this is going to end up. If I'm writing something for myself, which isn't very often actually, I guess I don't have the advantage, you know, of somebody prompting me, but I perhaps rely on whatever God might be saying to me in my own heart. And that brings you on to the subject of inspiration, which is a thing that I can't really fathom out. I don't know how God works. I don't know how the Holy Spirit works. I'm thinking, come on, give me a break, God. Sometimes when I need inspiration, I can't think of anything. And then when I'm walking down the road or standing waiting for a bus, I think of the most amazing tune, and I haven't got anything to write it down. So that's often how I find it works. So the process for me usually is whenever I get an idea, I just try and capture it. My phone has voice memos. You know, I don't know whether you do a similar thing in your line of work, but I sometimes sing into my phone. I look around first and make sure no one's looking if I'm in a public place. But it's when you get that idea for a tune, I have to sing the idea and capture it that way. When I get back home, type it into Sibelius, capture it. And then when a commission or some other inspiration comes, I go to my ideas and I see what sort of came organically before, and to see whether I can then develop that further. So I think for me it's important to keep a like a filing cabinet of ideas that you might draw upon later on. So we've got a few questions coming in, Beth.
Sure.
So I hope that gave you a short answer about the way I do things. I probably do things all the wrong way. That's the truth of how I do things. We've got Mark over in the States saying hello. Hi, Mark. Owen Green is here, and Steve Smith. Hi, Steve. And hi, Owen and Diane Barker. Hi, Diane. So Monash is just saying hello. Good to see you, Martin and Beth. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Somebody's pleased to see us. Thanks for that, Monash.
That is good.
Mark Smith wants to know, what's your favorite style of music to write? Yeah, okay, so that would be a question for me. Do you write music?
I think so.
Okay.
No.
Favorite style, I really like writing marches, Mark, and people usually come to me for an opener, you know, like an overture. I just seem to have hit whatever that nail is, you know, that makes things work in that genre. There are other genres I'd love to get into, but I don't feel I really have the tools in my toolbox. But definitely marches and openers, I enjoy writing that. And my brother-in-law David says, when has Martin ever waited for a bus? Okay, yeah, good question. In Norwich, when we worked at DHQ, we were in Norwich, spelt a different way, but in the east of England, and it was a time of Boundless. So we're going back to coming up on Boundless early 2015, and I had to write a piece for the Melbourne Staff Band, and I thought of the tune for that piece it's called Flashpoint. I thought of that tune standing at the bus stop. Yeah, so there you go. I did catch a bus once, David. Harrison Venables from Canada has joined. Hi, Harrison. And Andrew Dressler is here as well. Hi, Andrew. Andrew's from the New York Staff Band. And Emily Croucher, lovely to see you both. What legacy would you want your music to leave when future generations listen to your music? What would you like them to draw from it? Oh my goodness, that's a deep, deep question, Emily.
It is.
We're going to need to do like a 60-minute special on Emily's question next time.
Thanks for sending that one to Martin.
Yeah, that's right. So Emily, if I could leave any kind of a legacy, it would be that somebody's life was just improved in some way. If there was just a blessing of God that would just land on in somebody's heart, and they would be inspired in some way. And if it was just one person, I have to say, you know, I might write music for many, many decades. Who knows how long I'll live? Hopefully longer than, let's say, next week. But however long I live, and if there's just one person whose life would be touched, then I think that's what it's all about. That's why we're doing this video tonight, everybody, by the way, not because we're selfish and we want to talk about ourselves, but we want somebody to be encouraged if possible. So I hope that's answered your question for you. And we'll do one more question, Beth, and this is from Mark Smith. Beth, what is your practice routine, and is it consistent each time, or do you like to change it up?
Well, my practice routine, my warm-up routine, I would say, is pretty consistent. That's always the same. I always hit the same things, but sometimes if I have longer to spend or a short amount of time, I'll just expand on those exercises. My practice routine has changed actually because of the lockdown. I get to practice at the same time every single day, which that's never happened before since college, basically. So now I practice as soon as I put my daughter down to bed every day, and I
Right.
get usually a nice chunk of time to make sure I get to practice. So, but
Nice.
my routine, it generally changes depending on what I'm doing, right? Like right now, I'm not preparing for any performances, so I'm
Yeah.
just working on fundamentals and calisthenics and things like that. Whereas if I'm working on performance stuff, I'm going to hit fundamentals, but then after that, I'm going to hit repertoire. So it just
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah. And you know what? I might just ask a little question on the back of that as well. That's such a great question from Mark. When you're working for something, Beth, you've got focus. How do you keep focus in lockdown? What motivates you?
Well, two things really. First of all, I don't want to start sounding really bad. So that's definitely number one focus. I don't want to have to start back over at square one. There have been enough little projects that people have asked me to do that's kind of helped keep me going. I've done a number of virtual ensemble things that I've had to keep working on.
Yes.
Also, I think that's really hard, to be honest. I think that's something a lot of people are struggling with, from, the raw beginner all the way up to, professionals who, play at the highest of levels. I've heard that across the board from people and friends. I
Right.
think finding the motivation is definitely the hardest thing. I think it's just whatever you can make work for you. So for me, I think part of it is I know I have responsibilities and a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but expectation maybe is a better word, on
Right.
myself, that I put on myself, and certainly that comes along with my position in certain ensembles to keep my chops up.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, it's a bit of accountability there.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Beth. Hopefully some good advice for anybody out there who's a performer and looking to just be motivated during this time. So thanks for that, Beth. I think we're still going with our questions, aren't we? So I think you got one or two more things maybe, and then we'll get talking about the solo. So go ahead, Beth. Just ask away.
Oh, from me. Sure, perfect. So I just had one, and oh yeah,
Yeah.
how did you get started in music, and when did you start composing? So were you a player and then a composer, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, I was a player and then a composer, but I think I had the passion to understand how music was created before I could play an instrument. Because I'm
Right.
old enough to have been be alive when Star Wars Episode 4 came out in 1977, and
Is that the poster behind you? Is
no,
that
no, the
episode
one
4?
behind me is The Force Awakens. Do you know Star Wars, Beth? I,
I mean, I've seen them all, but I don't know them enough to know
Beth,
which
I'm
is
not
what
sure our
episode.
friendship can continue if you're going to tell me you don't know anything about Star Wars.
I've seen them all. Doesn't that count?
Okay, yeah, that counts for. Yeah, this was the one that I was waiting for, and if you're a real Star Wars fan, you were waiting for a long time, because there was a big gap between Episode 3, which was 2005, and then we had to wait till 2015, I think it was, to get Force Awakens. Yeah. Anyway, so my music writing, I think, goes back to Star Wars. Possibly in 77, but definitely in 1980 with Empire Strikes Back, because I think I saw that at the cinema as a young kid. And I like to draw, so I would come home and I would draw the Star Wars spaceships and the Millennium Falcon and the TIE fighters and all that kind of stuff in a space battle. But I can remember as a young child thinking, but how do I draw? Because I couldn't draw it. And I think that was the start of the fascination for me in trying to understand how you might draw music. So for me, I became a passionate cornet player. And then one day at the age of about 13 or 14, I just decided that I would get some manuscript paper. And by working it out on my cornet, I would try and write a tune. And the first arrangement that I did was for my young people's band when I was aged about 14 or 15. And it was the theme from The Incredible Hulk, which was this TV series, American TV series, but it was over on in Britain in that time. And it's got a lovely somber track called The Lonely Man. Google it, everybody. It's a fantastic track. That was my very first arrangement. I don't think there were many people at the Mercy Seat on that particular Sunday.
That's what I was just going to say.
When we played it out, I don't think it led people to a state of prayer and supplication, but it was just such an encouragement to me that my wifey band leader was interested enough in me to encourage me to do that. So big shout out to Chris, my wifey band leader from Leeds Central, who I think is still knocking around, although he's probably very old now, but he was a great encouragement to me. So that's how it all started for me, Beth.
I think I just lost you there. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. So I just said, so that's how it all started for me.
Oh, okay. I think I have one more question if we have time.
Okay, let's do it.
How long does it typically take you to write a piece from start to finish? So let's say,
yeah.
it depends on the piece, but let's say a march, since that's your favorite.
A march, yeah. I could probably knock out a smaller score, like Unity series, we would say in the Salvation Army. It's basically 4 or 5 parts, isn't it? I could probably knock one of those out in a day. That would be okay. If I needed to, if I could have a little bit longer, I could do a Triumph Series march, in a week. A couple of weeks for a general series march, maybe. Although it does depend a lot on, this whole subject of inspiration, which I just touched on a minute ago. Is the creativity just coming? Sometimes, and I'm sure anybody who's ever tried to write music will understand this, you've been asked to write a particular piece of music and you just cannot get an idea. It just will not happen. And I've had to shelve, probably it hasn't happened too many times, thankfully, but I've had to shelve 1 or 2 pieces, and I've had to say to people, I think you might just need to come back to me in 6 months, or I won't be offended if you ask somebody else. That's basically what happened. So March, I should be able to do within a couple of weeks, but it does depend on how creative I'm feeling. The larger pieces, like the one I did for the staff band, took me 6 months really, and it was quite I probably didn't touch it too much over Christmas because just of the busyness of the life of a Salvation Army officer, but either side of Christmas I did quite a lot on that, and that was many hours. But it's what I do to relax. When you're doing something that's a hobby, it's not really hard work, is it? So I enjoy it obviously, and it helps me relax. So yeah, that hopefully gives you an idea. We've got some more questions that have come in, Beth, so after these, I think we can get talking about the solo, shall we?
Sounds great.
Yeah, cool. So, where did we get to? Yeah, Howard Russell has a question for Beth. Do you have a large mouthpiece collection in current use, like Phil Cobb, or just the same one for years, like Derek Smith?
Probably somewhere in between that, I think is the answer to that question. If you looked in my basement and the practice room, you would see an alarming number of mouthpieces. Okay. The collection is quite large, but I've been stuck on the same one for a couple of years here. I found one that works, so why change it? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Thanks for that question, Howard. Glenn Wanda Giles is watching from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Halifax, Nova, Canada. Must be Nova Scotia. Welcome. It's Glenn. Did I just say Glenda? I'm so sorry, Glenn. I need to get my contact lenses adjusted. Marjorie Loftus is here. Hi, Marjorie. Andy Cracknell, great to see you both. Got to shoot, but we'll catch up later. Okay, Andy, all the best. Thank you for tuning in. Philip McCann. Hi, Phil. Good to see you. 2 wonderful musicians. Is he watching our channel? I think he must be confused. He's watching ITV. There must be something on Gareth Malone's choir or something is on. Phil, thanks for that comment. What a legend you are. Thank you for joining. Sue Betts has joined. Sue used to be in the staff band with me and was in training with me. Hi, Sue. Graham Mercer's joined. Hi, Graham. And John Lamb as well. Hi, John. Glad that you're here. If you're just joining, we've been just chatting about faith and music, all kinds of things. And we're getting now around to talking about the solo that Beth and I collaborated on. I think I didn't really
ask you this question, Beth, but people might be interested to know how we actually met. Do you want to tell that story, how you remember it?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I wonder if you remember this. I actually think the first time we met was at Boundless.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it was. Yeah, I do
so
remember. Yeah,
yeah, the Chicago staff band played, well, each of the staff bands played like a little mini concert at a variety of different locations within the complex. And after a staff band played, you came up and we had a brief conversation. So I believe that's the first time we actually met.
oh wow, yeah, you know what, that is etched on my mind. I shall never forget it. You know, I can't remember us having that conversation, but we must have done. We did speak to a lot of people, didn't we? And it was a fantastic event. And
Yeah,
were you part of
it was
the
busy. I
sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, yeah, it was a crazy busy time. I just remember talking to you because I had played a solo. I think you just came up. It was a very brief, like, "Hey, nice job," sort of conversation. But that was the first time we met. After
Yeah,
that was CMI. So for those of you who don't know what CMI is, that's the Territorial Music Camp here in the USA Central Territory. And so Martin was the special guest a few years ago, and he came out for that.
yeah, that's right. And I think we had a chat, and it went something like you were looking for a new solo. Was it for a particular occasion that you needed this solo?
It was. I was hoping to have a solo for the New York staff band plays, not plays, I guess the New York staff band hosts something called the All Stars, which
Yeah,
is their youth program. And
yeah,
so they were having me out as a special guest for that event, and I wanted to have a new solo to premiere for that event. I had a number of guest solo opportunities that entire season that I was hoping to play it for. So that's what I was looking for.
yeah, that's right. I think you did go to that, and you did play the solo with the band there, didn't you? Was it the New York Staff Band
I
that you
did. It
played it
was
with?
fantastic. It was the New York staff band plus all of their all stars, actually.
Ah, right. Yeah, okay. And did you play the solo with them
Or no,
before?
actually, I'm sorry, I take
That's
that
all right.
back.
Okay.
The All Stars did not play the accompaniment. It was for that event, but it was just the New York staff band who
Oh, yeah,
accompanied
okay.
me.
Yeah, I thought it was. And am I right in saying you played that in New York before you had opportunity to play it out in your own territory? Is that right? Or had you premiered it already?
You know, I honestly can't remember. That season was such a blur. I played so many things. I believe the first actual performance was probably in New York. I do know that I read it down and rehearsal a couple of times preceding that trip, just because we wanted to make sure we worked out
Mm,
any kinks if there were any. But I
yeah.
don't believe I actually performed it down anywhere until
Okay,
then.
okay. Yeah, I remember that you were asking for this solo, and you had the idea of the Sarah Groves song. So he's always been faithful. Isn't that what it's called? So did I
Yeah,
get that
he's
right?
always been faithful,
Yeah.
and you didn't you were unfamiliar with the song if I remember.
Yeah, that's right. But I soon became familiar with it, and what a
Sure.
fantastic song it is. So, guys, after you watch this, you need to Google the song "He's Always Been Faithful" by Sarah Groves. She's a contemporary Christian songwriter out there in the States. Is she in your part of the world, Beth?
Yeah, she lives here in the States.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, is she Chicago based?
No, she's not Chicago based. I think she lives in New York, but I actually don't even know
Oh,
where
okay.
she lives.
Oh,
She's
okay.
performed with the staff band a couple of times.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was here as our special guest for the Thanksgiving concert a couple of years ago. But the song has just always stuck with me.
Mm,
We have a Hallelujah chorus arrangement of that. For those of you who don't know what Hallelujah choruses are, it's just it's a publication that the Central Territory puts out. It's congregational song accompaniments. But we had done that with the staff band for a number of years when I first started the staff band, and Heidi Strand, who is now an officer, actually just moved up to Royal Oak, but she was always the vocalist for that. And for some reason, that song, every time we played it, just always spoke to me.
mm.
And it's such a lovely melody as well. I thought it would work well.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lyrical, and the notes kind of step up and step back down. It's almost like a lullaby. You could sing,
Hmm.
to your daughter, Beth, that kind of a song, isn't it? And so I did get to know it. And actually, I don't think you know this, but a few months after I'd finished the solo, we decided to use that in worship at Cambridge Citadel, where we're the officers at the moment. So we sang it one Sunday, and I think we had to hash together some piano accompaniment very quickly. I don't think we had the music, but we sang it in worship, and it's so simple to learn. It's you know, I often say, if I'm gonna write a piece of music, if anybody's gonna write a piece of music, if you've got a good tune, and if it's somebody else's good tune, so be it, but that will help make a good piece. You know, like, it's so easy for me to write a cornet solo when that solo is just so strong in itself. That song is so strong in itself.
Sure.
So you wanted that, but you also spoke to me about this idea of a digital delay, and I think this is the big talking point on the solo, because this is something that's not being done before. So this was your idea, Beth, wasn't it? I'm going to blame you for this.
Yeah, sure.
So where did that
definitely was my idea.
It was.
I felt very strongly about it. Yeah. There's a couple reasons why it came to mind. First of all, my graduate degree, my master's degree, is in trumpet performance from the California Institute of the Arts, which is a program that basically specializes in all contemporary music. So you're not going to go there and learn traditional trumpet music. You're not going to learn traditional orchestral excerpts. It's just not what they specialize in. And so from that degree, I worked a lot on new music, nothing that was rehashed many times, you know, certainly composers that have been around for a while, but a lot of extended techniques from, you know, like the Barrio Sequenza that uses the resonator pedal and you play into the piano for effects, or, you know, multiphonics, or quarter tones, lots of different articulation techniques, removing valves, all slides out, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I really developed a love for contemporary music, so much so that I think in my graduate degree, I almost went to the far extreme of what that is with a lot of the repertoire. And then I moved to Chicago, and all of a sudden I found myself in a world of brass band, which I love and is my favorite. Obviously, I do a lot of it. But I kind of wanted to find a way that I could marry the two in a little way that would still be acceptable. And I had heard a piece that Black Dyke put out called Sailing Away, or One Sailing. And all of a sudden I can't think of the title. I think it's Sailing Away. It's a flugelhorn solo. And there's a small section in there that uses a digital delay. And it just gave the most haunting sound. And it was just so captivating to me the very second I heard it. And I was like, I want to do this. And I think this works in a brass band setting, because I had never heard it in a brass band setting before. I'm sure it exists, but certainly not in the Salvation Army world. So I was like, this is really cool. I need to find a time and a place to use this. And I had started toying around with the idea of starting to have some solos written for me. I was having more and more opportunities to play with other bands. So that's how the idea kind of came across. And I've always enjoyed your work. So that's why we talked about it.
Yeah. And I'm not going to pretend to understand anything about digital delays. I mean, I just remember us having a quick conversation where you said, just put pedal at the point where you think it should start or something. So I think that's the as technical as it got for me. I just wrote the word pedal at the point where it was going to start. And then maybe like, if people can imagine a piano piece of music with a line underneath, a bit like a brace, to tell you when to release the pedal or something, because we don't want the digital delay going on infinitum. It has to stop at some point. But I think I gave you a template and then you had to try and make it work in real life. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just ask you closed questions and you can say yes or no. Right, let's see who's joining us, Beth. And then I'm going to play a little bit of this solo on YouTube, so everybody can just hear the opening with the digital delay, okay? So Daniel Mulero watching from Kenya. Hi, Daniel. Fred Mbasi has joined. Hi, Fred. Good to see you here. Thomas Quick, listening from Kitchener, Ontario, the host of Let There Be Music. Yes, good to have you with us, Thomas. Mark Smith, Minnesota. Oh, that must have been in response to Where the Sarah Groves Live. We're not going to go to her house and give her a present or
That's
anything
right.
at this stage. So we'll maybe head to Minnesota at some point in the future. Michael Hansen has joined. Hi, Michael. Ruben Schmidt. Nearly couldn't say your name then, Ruben, from Germany. Good to have you here. Alexis Dill. Hi, Alexis. Hajime Suzuki. Hello, Hajime. Glad you're here. And Nick Samuel, who's a Salvation Army officer from Britain that we have very kindly gifted to the Canadian territory. So good to have you with us, Nick. I'm glad you can join us. Okay, so let's play for everybody then, Beth, a little bit of this opening. I'm now, this is where everybody, if you're the praying kind, pray, because I'm now going to share screen, and let's just see that this works. Has that now appeared on your screen, Beth?
Yes.
So are you seeing like a YouTube video there? I'm just going to
click. I see YouTube.
Yeah, I'm just going to
Is this the Thanksgiving concert?
Yeah, I think so. And this YouTube video is by someone called Michigan.
Hopefully I played it well.
I think you played it brilliantly, yeah. But this is by Michigan Coppin. So thank you for this video. We're just going to play a few bars really just to hear the opening. So let's just hope this works. Are you hearing that, Beth?
Yeah, it's coming through.
Cool. There we go. So that really is the opening few bars. I appreciate everybody watching online. That might have jumped a little bit or something. And if you were hearing Beth's lines repeat, that is the digital delay. It's not your internet connection, I can assure you. So, but that was basically the opening. And you've spoken, Beth, about where you got the idea. You know, you were studying contemporary music at that time. But in terms of the music itself, we had to, you can't just shove things into a piece, can you, and say, well, we're going to do it because we like it. It has to mean something as well.
Sure.
And I guess from my angle as the writer, I felt that effect could help us from the opening, when you use the digital effect, just paint the picture that we're living in a lost kind of a world. You know, if you imagine standing in a cave on your own and saying hello, and your voice goes hello, hello, hello. We're living in a big world, but we're living in a lost world. Sometimes we feel that we're shouting and nobody hears us, nobody cares maybe. And so that idea of the digital delay for me was a kind of a calling out thing. I guess different people will interpret it in different ways. And some people might even think, well, I don't get that at all, which is fine. But we hope that not just in those opening bars, I hope you agree with me, but that the piece will say something to people, and the digital delay will be part of that message, making that message happen. Do you have a point of view about the digital delay, or how you feel it helps the solo in some way?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I think it really paints that picture. You know, we ended up titling it Faith Pursuit, and I know we went back and forth for a while and debating what to call the solo. But I think it just depicts that picture so well. You know, the opening kind of, you know, gives you the struggle, you know, of life, or, you know, the chaos sort of happening around us. You know, even though it may seem like a simple line, you're hearing yourself in multiple ways. And I think it really paints that picture. For me, though, my favorite use of it is actually with the Sarah Groves song, where you're giving us the melody pretty much straight as it is. And I know we went back and forth on this quite a bit, because for me, it was really important to have the pedal in that section. And
Yes.
And I'm not sure you agreed with me at first, but I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard time and time again from people who have listened that that was the part that touched them the most. And I think it was for me. What I particularly enjoy about it, sure, it gives you the layers and the textures, but we cut it out right at the very last statement. He's always been faithful to me. And then there you get the pure simplicity of it. All the background noise washes out, and that's the statement that's there. And I think that delay kind of effect before that really just kind of brings you to the tension, and then it's just, he's always been faithful to me. And I think it really just nails that for me.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. We did discuss the digital delay over the melody because I guess from a writing point of view, it presents a number of challenges. Really, if the notes you were playing in the bar before are still being heard in the next bar, they just might not fit with the harmony, right? So that's the challenge, isn't it? But actually, thankfully, the Sarah Grove song has enough sort of major triads in it, doesn't it? That it's basically la la
It
la
worked.
la la. Yeah, so it's basically a major triad, and so it kind of works all the way through. Well, I shouldn't say kind of; it really does work. And that beautiful song, I hope, just gives some freshness to it or something. That's what I hope. When people hear. I don't know if people are interested in seeing the score, but I can just try and get that on screen for you guys, so you can just see those opening bars. Hope that's okay with you, Beth.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just putting on a Sibelius screen now. I hope everyone can see that, can they? You can see that we have in the opening, it actually starts with a bass drum roll, because I just felt that we wanted this to come from, I wanted the sound to come from nothing and to almost give a kind of a slightly intimidating open. That we're living in a world that feels threatening. So that was really how the piece opens. And you can see that the trombones come in muted. They're all in minor seventh chords for you musicians out there. It's in the key of D minor concert. So you've got D minor 7 in the first full bar, and before that E flat minor 7 leading into it. And it just stays as minor 7s for the first few bars. The horns echo, by the way, what the trombones did. And then we go into the first use, and you can see what I was talking about. I just put pedal and then like a line across the top, hoping to give some indication to Beth of when I thought it probably would be a good idea to release that pedal. And when you release the pedal, that stops the repetition of the notes. So there you go. That's a little bit of the score. You've seen a little bit of the of the music on YouTube as well. You should go and Google the Sarah Grove song, everybody, as well. It's really worth looking up. What else can we say about this solo, Beth?
I know what we can say.
Yeah.
We can say it's available for purchase now through the American Festival series.
That's
so
right.
yeah, it's now been published. So if you actually want a copy of that to look at, and it actually will includes a piano reduction, accompaniment reduction as well. So yeah, that's my little plug for you.
You just
But
wanted to put that
I do
in
think
there, didn't you?
it's such
You
a
just
great
wanted to
group.
get that out
I
there, Beth.
did.
So the people that Beth works for are the ones that sell this music, basically. But yeah, it's the Salvation Army in the USA Central Territory. We're really grateful that they have, really embraced the solo, not just with the Chicago staff band, but then actually thinking that it might be worth sharing with the world. So in terms of technical ability and things like that, Beth, obviously you being a principal cornet of two very fine bands in Chicago, the staff band and then the Chicago brass band, you're at a certain kind of level, you're in an up there level. But for the aspiring player, would we recommend that they look at this? I guess a lot of it would be playable by the aspiring player, wouldn't it?
Sure. I think there is a lot of it that is playable. There are a few parts that may be trickier than they look. Upon first glance, the solo looks very playable. Even the technical bits, a lot of it, there's a recapitulation at the end where certainly a lot of the same material comes back. So once you've learned that initial technical theme, you're pretty much home. But I would say some of the leaps are the things that would be the most challenging. So right up the top, I don't know if you want to pull it up, but it hops up to that. I just can't sing. My voice is not good right now. But there's this part that goes ba da 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 ta-da,
Oh
and
yeah,
it really
yeah,
jumps
yeah,
up to that high A.
yeah,
And if we don't want it to pop out there, but you really want to keep a nice, long, smooth line, things like that are what could be a little tricky. So for maybe the novice player, that I think would present the most challenge. I think, maybe somebody can get it out, but not necessarily sound so musical. He's
yeah,
highlighting what I'm talking
yeah. This is the line
about.
then that you're talking about. Is that right, Beth?
Exactly. So the bar right there at C, so jumping from the C to the A, which again on
Yeah,
paper it looks very simple, but if you're
yeah,
trying to keep it light and easy flowing, that I would
yeah,
say it's tricky. And if you keep scrolling over the end of page 4 there, you have those sort of intervallic downward leaps, it's where it gets tricky.
yeah.
So I would say there are some difficult bits. Certainly there's one point where I think you want me to hold a high D for what feels like forever on my face.
That's near the end. Shall we go? Let's go
So
to the end and we'll see if
yes,
we
it
can put
is
that.
all the way to the end.
Yeah, here we
So
go.
you finished a solo, and then it does seem to hold. And then if you weren't annoyed with Martin enough, he's added a molto rel right on top of that to really give it some
Absolutely, yeah.
extra
Beth, we wanted to
feeling
get our
there.
money's worth
So
out of you. That's what it was.
perfect.
Yeah,
So I would say those are probably the most challenging bits of it, just to keep some of the intervallic leaps sounding smooth and effortless. And then
yeah,
there can be a little bit of a endurance challenge once you get towards the end. But other
sure,
than that,
sure.
I mean, I think, somebody who is maybe, an aspiring musician could certainly, it's very approachable.
Yeah, good. Thanks for that, Beth. And as Beth
Mhm.
says, and it is on sale, so you can look that up. And also, it was recorded by the Chicago Staff Band. I actually have a copy. Are you impressed with this, Beth? Look at that.
Look at that.
That
Yeah.
is the CD. So Chicago Staff Band with Aubrey Logan. Sounds of the Seasons. This is a concert that's been going for hundreds of years in your territory with the Chicago Staff Band, isn't that right? It's a long-standing.
Supposed to be 100 this year.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and so on this CD, there's new music by Marcus Venables, Andrew Garcia, and lots of obviously contributions from Aubrey Logan as well. But the solo is in there, and that's a really good presentation by Beth of the solo on that. So, is it ever? Do we do digital downloads, Beth, for this kind of stuff in your part of the
I
world?
probably should have had that answer before we
Yeah,
started this
I'm not
call, but I
sure.
do believe so. My guess is you can just go to Chicago Staff Band's website, and it's probably available for download or purchase there, would be my
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, good shout. Okay. I'll just say a few more hellos then, Beth, because we're going to be wrapping up in a moment.
That's great.
Um, Martin Rowden from Brisbane in Australia. Hi, Martin. Gordon Ford from the Salvation Army, Wisconsin, and up in Michigan. Oh, I must live next door to you, Beth. And Gav Dunn's joined. Hi, Gav. Fred and Basie says that's from the joint concert with the Eastern Michigan Divisional Band. Ah, the YouTube that we were watching was that particular concert.
Oh, I
Right,
gotcha.
gotcha. Thanks for that, Fred. Dean Duvall joined. Hi, Dean. Emily Croucher. Definitely finding this afterwards. Oh, fantastic. Good. Daryl Scholes, bandmaster at Croydon, has joined. Hi, Daryl. Chris Ward has joined. There are two Chris Wards in my life. This is the English Chris Ward. The American Chris Ward might be having his tea at this particular moment in time. He might not be able to join us. Ian Alderton has joined. Hi, Ian. Tim Buckle. Hi, Tim. Jason Beattie from Norwich. Good to see you, Jason. Peter Hazlitt. I think we might have mentioned you, Peter, but you said nice. I think you might be talking about my beard. Is that right? Just here. That's what he's talking about.
I think so.
Morgan, Morgan Jorstavik. Hi, Morgan. He writes some great music. Morgan Stavik. Look him up, everybody. Malcolm James joined. Hi, Malcolm. Jude do we say Saint Aim? Saint Aimé. I think you're from the West Coast, Jude. Of the
He works for us now.
are you
I work
Central
with
Territory?
Jude. Yeah, he's in the Central Territory now.
Wow, that's fantastic. He gets around. Good to have you with us, Jude. And my mother and father-in-law are watching. Fantastic. And Stuart Northfield from Cambridge Citadel. Martin, didn't know you were into Aubrey Logan. Well, I wasn't into Aubrey Logan, but I am into Aubrey Logan now. Everybody should be, right? Go buy the CD.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah. And Peter has it, says, love the beard. Peter, I'm growing my beard just the same as yours. That's what's happened there. Well, I think we're going to wrap up in just a second. Let's just check our lists, Beth, and check that we asked everything. Final question. Let's go to the final question then. What do we want people to take away from this music? So when you're playing this solo in a concert hall, what message are you hoping that they're going to get from it?
Just exactly what the title says, that they keep pursuing their faith and that he's always been faithful. I just think we have a lovely slideshow that goes along with it, and those words are displayed as we play it. And I just hope that they take that message with them.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I think Beth's absolutely right. And I also would add to that, guys, that don't forget that God is a God who pursues us. You know, we need to grow in our faith. That's definitely true. We need to pursue faith. But if you're a person that doesn't have a faith or has some other kind of a faith, or is maybe thinking about faith, our message is God is a God who pursues you. So just listen to what he's saying is what we would say, right? That's what a faith pursuit is. Going after that relationship with God, if you like. So thanks everybody for joining with us tonight. I got some great news to share with you as we close. So if you're still listening, you'll get to see this now. But in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to have another one of these events, and I'm going to show you who is coming on in 2 weeks' time. In 2 weeks' time, I'm going to have Yvonne Field, a wonderful songwriter, to come and talk to me. So that's on the 21st of July, 7 p.m. British Standard Time. And we hope that you can join us live. If you join live, just say hello in the chat as you've been doing tonight. It's been really good to talk to some of you and say hello. And Yvonne will be taking your questions about the songs that she has been writing. And Beth, at CMI, when we were collaborating together, we were involved together on a Yvonne Field song. Do you remember which one we finished CMI with?
I don't.
It was.
I don't remember what song.
It was. Hold on, I'm just going to go back to Zoom here and just turn this off so I can see you. It was, Lord, if your presence does not go with us, do not lead us up from here.
That's right.
Now, that could be Yvonne's best song. I don't know, but it's a really amazing song. I'm going to be really looking forward to asking Yvonne questions about that song and other questions that she's written. So I hope you can join us, everybody, in 2 weeks' time on the 21st. So thanks for joining. Beth and I are just going to give you a wave. And we're going to say thanks for joining. Bye now.